January 12, 1943. South of Lake Ladoga, near the shattered rail junction of MGA. Dawn breaks late this far north. The light comes thin and gray, sliding across frozen swamps and shattered birch trees like a blade drawn slowly from its sheath. Snow squeals beneath steel tracks as a column of T-34s idles in the half-dark, engines coughing clouds of blue exhaust into the brittle air. Inside one of them, Guard Sergeant Alexei Morozov presses his padded helmet tighter against his ears. The diesel beneath him vibrates like a living thing, reliable, familiar. He has fought since Kharkov. He trusts this machine. Everyone does. The T-34 has become a rumor that terrifies Germans before the battle even starts. Someone laughs over the intercom. Another breakthrough today, the loader says. Another pile of burning panzers. Morozov grins despite himself. They have smashed through so many German lines that winter it feels inevitable. The Red Army is changing. Faster. Harder. Smarter. The enemy is retreating, always retreating. Then the radio crackles. Enemy armor reported ahead, heavy tanks. The word heavy means little at first. German heavies have come and gone, short-barreled PZ-4s, the occasional up-gunned assault gun. Nothing a T-34 cannot outmaneuver or outfight at close range. Morozov taps the turret ring with his glove. Forward, he orders. Line abreast. The forest opens into a shell-pocked clearing. Snow is churned black with oil and cordite. Burned-out German vehicles litter the field like carcasses picked clean. The gunner, Yuri, scans left to right through the telescopic sight. Then he freezes. Commander, that tank is wrong. Morozov leans forward, pushing his face against the icy edge of the periscope. At first it looks unreal, too big, too square, as if someone has drawn it with a ruler instead of a pencil. The turret is massive, the gun impossibly long. Its armor plates rise almost vertically, catching the weak winter light without reflection. A German cross is painted clean and arrogant on the side. What is it? The loader asks. Morozov doesn't answer. He has never seen anything like it. The Tiger fires. The sound is not the sharp crack of familiar German guns. It is deeper, heavier, like a door slammed by a giant. A T-34 on the far left of the line erupts in flame, the shell punching straight through the glacis as if the armor were paper. The turret lifts, twists, and lands upside down in the snow. For half a second no one moves. Then Yuri shouts, "Target, 12 o'clock, fire." Their 76.2 mm gun roars. The shell strikes the Tiger square in the front plate. It does nothing. The round shatters, fragments spraying harmlessly across the German tank's armor. The Tiger does not flinch. It does not even slow. Another shot from the enemy. Another T-34 dies, this one penetrated clean through the turret ring. The crew never escapes. Laughter is gone now. Replaced by something colder. Fear. Reverse. Morozov shouts. Smoke now. The driver slams the controls. The T-34 lurches backward, tracks biting desperately into frozen earth as white smoke billows from canisters tossed into the snow. The Tiger advances through it like a moving bunker, gun traversing with terrifying calm. German infantry appear behind it, riding its wake like shadows. On the radio, voices overlap, panic breaking through discipline. Our shells don't work. It killed 3 tanks, 3. Where are the guns? Where is the artillery? Morozov's T-34 skids into cover behind a low rise. The engine idles, shaking violently. Inside the turret, the men breathe hard, the smell of burned propellant thick in their throats. Yuri wipes frost from his sight with a shaking hand. Comrade Sergeant, we can't fight that from the front. Morozov knows he is right. The Tiger's armor is thicker than anything they have trained against. Its gun outranges them. Head on, this is slaughter. But Morozov also knows something else. The Tiger is slow. It turns like a bear in deep snow. Its flanks, those massive vertical sides, cannot be everywhere at once. Outside, Soviet artillery begins to thunder. Not accurate yet. Not enough. But it is noise. Confusion. Cover. Morozov keys the radio, forcing his voice steady. All tanks listen carefully, do not engage frontally, use terrain, close distance, flanks swarm it. There is a pause. Then another voice answers, older, calmer. Captain Nikolai Besanov, battalion commander. Understood, Besanov says. Let the Tiger hunt and we will teach it fear. Morozov looks back through the periscope. The Tiger looms in the smoke, dominant and terrifying, but alone. Just one steel giant in a frozen clearing. The Red Army has faced monsters before and learned how to kill them. January 12, 1943. Same sector. Minutes later. The snow muffles everything except engines. Morozov feels it through the soles of his boots before he hears it, the deep, uneven growl of the Tiger as it pivots, its transmission whining under the strain. The German tank is searching, hunting by sound and silhouette, its commander confident enough to push forward without infantry cover. That confidence will cost him. Driver, Morozov whispers, though the engine drowns out any chance of the enemy hearing. Left, slow, use the dip. The T-34 creeps along a shallow depression carved by artillery fire and thawing snow. Around them other Soviet tanks move too, not in neat parade lines but in scattered predatory arcs. Each commander is making the same calculation now, the same realization spreading through the crews like electricity. We can't kill it head-on. But it can't kill all of us. A Tiger is terrifying when it controls the engagement. When it sees first. Fires first. But it is blind behind its thick steel walls. Its optics are excellent, but they are still only glass in human eyes. Morozov spots movement through drifting smoke. Another T-34 darts across open ground, deliberately exposing itself. The Tiger's turret snaps toward it, the long 88mm gun swinging like a hammer seeking a nail. The decoy fires. The shell sparks uselessly off the Tiger's front armor. The German gun answers instantly. The decoy T-34 vanishes in a fireball. But the Tiger's turret is now turned. Now, Morozov says. The driver accelerates. The T-34 bursts from cover, engine screaming, tracks throwing up sheets of snow and mud. Yuri slews the gun toward the Tiger's side as the distance collapses, 300 meters, then 200. Armor piercing. Morozov snaps. The loader rams the shell home with a grunt. Fire. The Soviet gun bucks. The shell strikes the Tiger's side plate at an angle too steep. It dents the armor, leaving a white scar, but fails to penetrate. The Tiger begins to rotate its turret back. Again. Morozov shouts. Another shot. This one hits lower near the running gear. Steel screams as a road wheel shatters. The Tiger lurches, its track snapping loose and whipping violently into the snow. The German tank stops. For the first time it looks vulnerable. Immobilized. Yuri yells, disbelief and triumph colliding in his voice. Morozov doesn't celebrate. Not yet. Keep moving, he orders. Don't stop, don't ever stop. Other T-34s rush in now, appearing from smoke and tree lines like wolves answering a howl. One fires at the rear of the Tiger, punching into the engine compartment. Flames spill out thick and oily, but the turret still moves. The Tiger fires blindly, its gun thundering at shadows. A T-34 explodes. Another backs away trailing smoke. Then something new enters the fight. A sharp flat crack different from tank guns. Anti-tank rifles. Soviet infantry crawl forward through the snow, firing PTRD rifles at the Tiger's vision slits, its machine gun mounts, its exposed rear. The rounds don't penetrate, but they force the crew inside to button up, to fight blind. Morozov sees it then, the German tank is no longer hunting. It is trapped. Close in, he orders. Rear quarter, aim for the vents. His T-34 swings behind the Tiger, almost close enough to touch. The German engine screams as the crew tries desperately to free the damaged track. Fire. The shell punches through the rear armor. Flames erupt violently, licking up around the turret ring. The Tiger's gun fires once more, wild, defiant, then falls silent. A hatch pops open. A German tanker climbs out, his uniform already burning. He collapses into the snow, screaming, before a secondary explosion silences him forever. The clearing goes quiet. Only engines idle now. Steam rises from shattered metal. Snowflakes drift down, settling on blackened wreckage. Inside the T-34, no one speaks. Finally, the loader exhales a long breath. So it can burn. Morozov nods slowly. His hands are shaking, but his mind is clear. Yes, he says. But not the way we thought. Across the battlefield, more Tigers burn or withdraw, each one paid for with Soviet blood and steel. Reports crackle over the radio, Tigers here, Tigers there. Losses heavy. Lessons learned faster than doctrine can be written. By nightfall, the jokes are gone from every tank unit on the front. No one laughs at Tigers anymore. But no one believes they are invincible either. In dugouts and command posts that night, Soviet officers sketched diagrams by lantern light, arrows circling heavy rectangles, notes scribbled in pencil. Close distance. Attack from multiple directions. Immobilize first. Kill second. This is the moment of realization. The Red Army has met a monster and survived. And now it begins to adapt. February 10, 1943. Southern Front. Outskirts of Kharkov. The wind howls across the steppe, carrying the smell of burned fuel and frozen earth. Snow no longer falls clean here. It is mixed with ash, ground into the soil by weeks of fighting. The battlefield is wider now. Louder. Deadlier. Inside a command dugout reinforced with timber and frozen mud, Lieutenant Colonel Pavel Rotmistrov bends over a crude map spread across a wooden crate. His finger traces thick red arrows curling around black German symbols, marked with a single word written in pencil. Tiger. These are not tanks, Rotmistrov says quietly to the officers around him. They are mobile fortresses. No one argues. In the weeks since Lake Ladoga, the Red Army has met Tigers again and again, at MGA at Sinyavino outside Leningrad. And now here near Kharkov. Each encounter has been costly. Entire companies erased in minutes when caught head-on. Crews burned alive before they understood what they were facing. But the shock has passed. Now comes calculation. Rotmistrov taps the map again. We stop attacking them like panzers, we fight them like bunkers that move. He looks up. And we surround bunkers. Orders ripple outward that night. Not in elegant theory, but in blunt, practical language tank crews understand. Never engage alone. Never engage from the front. Force the Tiger to turn. Kill its mobility. Then kill the crew. By morning, the snow-covered fields outside Kharkov are alive with engines. Guard Sergeant Alexei Morozov is back in his T-34, his crew quieter now, movements sharper. New chalk markings are scrawled inside the turret, range estimates, weak points sketched from memory. Someone has written a single word above the gun breech. Flank. German artillery opens the battle, shells walking methodically across the steppe. Tigers advance behind a screen of panzer grenadiers, their confidence restored. They have learned too, keeping infantry close, avoiding reckless advances. The first Tiger appears at 1,200 meters. Morozov doesn't fire. Neither does anyone else. The Tigers roll forward, dominating the terrain, their guns knocking out a Soviet anti-tank position in seconds. A T-34 explodes when it crests a ridge too early. Still, Morozov waits. Patience, he murmurs. Let them come. At 600 meters, Soviet artillery opens up, not to kill but to blind. High-explosive shells churn the snow, throwing up walls of smoke and debris. The Tigers slow, buttoning up, commanders forced inside their steel cocoons. That's when the trap snaps shut. T-34s surge forward from 3 directions at once, engines screaming at full throttle. They do not charge the Tigers, they flow around them, slipping through gaps, vanishing into smoke, reappearing where the German guns cannot immediately point. A Tiger fires 1 kill. It tries to turn. Another T-34 slams a shell into its track. The heavy tank shudders, one side collapsing as metal links snap and whip free. Immobilized, someone shouts over the radio. Soviet tanks do not stop. They circle. They fire again and again, aiming lower, closer, faster. Infantry follows, anti-tank rifles cracking, grenades arcing through smoke. Morozov's T-34 darts behind a second Tiger, firing at point-blank range. The shell punches into the engine deck. Flames erupt instantly. The German crew fights to escape, but machine gun fire from Soviet infantry pins them inside. Another Tiger withdraws, reversing desperately, its commander finally understanding the danger. But it is too late. A T-34 rams its side, throwing off its aim. A second shell hits the rear. Fire blooms. Across the field, black smoke rises in pillars. Tigers still kill, still dominate any frontal exchange, but they are no longer untouchable. They bleed now. Slowly. Expensively. Inside his turret, Morozov feels something he hasn't felt since early 1941. Control. Not superiority. Not safety. But understanding. By late afternoon, the battlefield is littered with wrecks, Soviet and German alike. Losses are brutal. But when the smoke clears, several Tigers lie burning or abandoned, their hulks stark against the snow. German radio traffic crackles with urgency. Requests for air support. For recovery vehicles. For permission to disengage. For the first time, Tiger units pull back, not in triumph but caution. As night falls, Morozov climbs out of his tank. The cold bites immediately. He stands beside a destroyed Tiger, its massive armor scorched and cracked, its reputation shattered along with its steel. A young infantryman approaches, staring at the wreckage. They said these couldn't be killed, the soldier mutters. Morozov lights a cigarette with shaking hands. They said the same about everything else, he replies. Somewhere far to the west, German engineers are already thickening armor, refining tactics, searching for ways to restore the Tiger's dominance. But on the eastern front the spell is broken. The Red Army has learned how to fight the monster. And the war is about to show what happens when fear changes sides. July 5, 1943. Northern face of the Kursk salient. Near Ponary. The earth shakes before dawn. Not from artillery but from engines. Hundreds of them. Thousands. The ground itself seems to breathe as German armor assembles in the darkness, steel massing for one colossal blow. Operation Citadel has begun. Inside his T-34, now scratched and scarred from months of fighting, Guard Sergeant Alexei Morozov listens to the thunder and understands something immediately. They are coming with everything. At first light, German artillery erupts. The barrage is overwhelming, precise, relentless. Soviet trenches disappear in fountains of dirt and fire. The air fills with the shriek of shells and the metallic crack of shrapnel. Then the Tigers appear. Not one. Not two. Dozens. They crest the ridgelines in disciplined lines, their long 88mm guns already firing, cutting open Soviet defenses with surgical brutality. T-34s die in the open, struck from ranges where they cannot answer. For a moment, it feels like January all over again. Except this time no one panics. Morozov's radio crackles with calm, clipped orders. Hold positions, let them advance. The Tigers roll forward confidently, crushing mines beneath their tracks, some detonating harmlessly, others shaking crews but failing to stop them. German commanders believe the lesson of Kharkov was overlearned. That Soviet tankers have grown cautious. Predictable. They are wrong. As the Tigers push deeper, the terrain begins to work against them. The ground is scarred with trenches, anti-tank ditches, and minefields mapped obsessively by Soviet engineers. Smoke shells burst ahead of the advance, blinding optics, forcing hatches shut. Now comes the order. Soviet artillery switches targets. Not the Tigers, but the ground around them. Explosions isolate individual tanks, breaking formations, severing communication. T-34s surge from concealed hull-down positions. Not charging, maneuvering. Morozov swings his tank hard right, disappearing behind a low rise as an 88mm shell tears through the air where he was seconds earlier. Another T-34 sacrifices itself in the open, drawing fire, buying seconds. Those seconds are everything. A Tiger bogs down crossing a ditch. Its nose dips, track spinning uselessly. Another swerves to avoid it, exposing its flank. Fire. Morozov shouts. The shell strikes the side armor at close range. Penetration. Flames roar from the impact point. German crews begin to hesitate. They feel at first as confusion, too many targets, too many directions, too little visibility. The Tiger was built to dominate forward space. Here at Kursk there is no forward, only threats everywhere. A Tiger commander pops his hatch for a better view. A PTRD round snaps past his head, slamming into the periscope. He ducks back inside, sealing himself blind. Inside German tanks, voices rise in pitch. Reports flood the radio nets. Multiple T-34s on the flank. Track damage, immobilized. Infantry support lost. Morozov sees something he never expected to see. A Tiger reversing not to reposition but to escape. Another is abandoned, its crew fleeing on foot under machine gun fire. By midday the battlefield is chaos. Tigers still kill brutally, but they are being hunted now. Soviet tankers no longer stare in disbelief at their armor. They aim. They maneuver. They close. The laughter is still gone. But the fear has moved. That evening, Morozov sits on the hull of his tank as the sun bleeds red over the steppe. The wrecks of Tigers burn in the distance, their silhouettes warped by heat. A young replacement tanker approaches him, eyes wide. "Comrade Sergeant," the boy asks, "is it true they're afraid of us now?" Morozov exhales smoke slowly. "No," he says. "They're afraid of mistakes." He looks back at the battlefield, at the fields that swallowed Germany's best armor. And so are we. Tomorrow the fighting will continue. More Tigers will come. More T-34s will burn. But something irreversible has happened on these fields. The Tiger is no longer a legend. It is just another target. August 3, 1943. Belgorod-Kharkov axis. Operation Rumyantsev. Rain turns the battlefield into a sucking morass of mud and oil. Summer has come to the steppe, but it brings no relief, only heat, rot, and the stench of burned metal baked into the ground. Kursk is over. The German offensive is broken. Now the Red Army is advancing. And Tigers are no longer leading the charge. They wait. Guard Sergeant Alexei Morozov watches through his periscope as a Tiger hull down on a distant ridge fires once, twice, then retreats behind cover. It does not pursue. It does not advance boldly. It probes, tests, withdraws. They are careful now, Yuri mutters. Morozov nods. They have learned. German doctrine has shifted. Tigers are no longer hurled forward as spearheads. They are held back, used defensively, covering retreat routes, killing Soviet tanks at range where possible. The arrogance of January is gone. But caution has a cost. Soviet commanders press relentlessly. T-34s attack in waves, not blindly but methodically. Reconnaissance units mark Tiger positions. Artillery brackets them. Smoke blinds them. Infantry creeps close. Morozov's battalion advances through a shattered village. Brick dust fills the air. The soundscape is constant, engines, gunfire, distant screams. A Tiger fires from behind a church ruin, knocking out 2 tanks before Soviet artillery collapses the structure around it. When the smoke clears, the Tiger is silent. Abandoned. Fuel shortages are becoming obvious now. German recovery vehicles rarely arrive. Tigers disabled by minor damage are simply left behind, their crews ordered to destroy them if possible. Morozov passes one such wreck, charges failed to detonate fully. The massive gun still points accusingly toward the east. He remembers January. The laughter. The disbelief. The first burning tank. The war has aged him years since then. In command tents and factories far from the front, the lessons of 1943 are already being absorbed. Soviet engineers push forward heavier guns, better optics, new tanks, IS-2s with massive 122mm cannons designed specifically to kill Tigers from the front. But for the men in the field, the lesson is simpler. Nothing is invincible. That night, Morozov writes a short letter home by lantern light. He does not mention Tigers. He does not mention fear. He writes about snow and summer rain, and how the engine of a T-34 sounds like home now. Across the lines, German tankers write their own letters, about ambushes, about unseen enemies, about steel giants that die screaming when surrounded. By autumn, the balance has shifted completely. Tigers still inspire respect, still demand caution, but they no longer freeze Soviet crews in place. They no longer break attacks by their presence alone. On the Eastern Front, survival belongs not to the strongest machine, but to the side that learns fastest. Morozov stands beside his tank as it rolls westward once more, toward cities whose names he does not yet know. The war will go on. Harder. Bloodier. But the laughter will never return. And neither will the fear.